Welcome back, everyone, as we continue in our exploration of the Kybalion. Okay, the 7 Hermetic Principles. We are almost done. Okay. The all is mind and the universe is mental. Law number 1. How are you doing with remembering them? Okay. How are you doing? The law of correspondence, the law of vibration, the law of gender, the law of cause and effect, which we're going over right now. The law of gender comes next. How are you doing with these laws? Okay. The law of rhythm. So we have my what was the acronym that I come up with that I have to always remember at the beginning of each of these videos? My chronic vibration raises channeling good. My chronic vibration raises channeling good. So it's 7. My chronic vibration raises channeling good. Ooh, my chronic vibration. Oh, I'm missing one. Let's see what that is. So we have the all is mind, the mind is mental. The universe is mental is number 1. The law of correspondence, okay? The law of vibration, which is number 3. The law of rhythm, which is number 4. The law of cause and effect, which is number 5. I know I'm definitely missing one. Number 6, which is the law of gender. And then we missed purposefully, raises purposefully. P for the law of what? Polarity. Okay, so today we're talking about the law of cause and effect. This is chapter 12, a little bit longer than I was thinking. I'm going to get started with it on page 109. This chapter really can be summarized by stating there's nothing that happens in this universe that happens by chance. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you can't go back to measure the effects, or to understand the chains of events that lined up very purposefully and a very discrete an accurate moment in time in order for something to manifest. There is no such thing as chance. Everything is subject to the law of cause and effect. All right. So if a block falls from a mountain, a piece of the mountain chips off and hits a cottage and falls through and crushes the roof of the cottage, there were a series of events down to the amount of rain over the last several years, down to the roof being the type of roof it was. And if you're dealing with the roof, who put the roof on and how long and all these other things. There are a million different things that it'd be so difficult for you to extricate your mind from if you started trying to make connections between things. It's important that every single thing that happens in your life, every single place that you find in your life, that you understand that it is by some design that interlinks the effects of one thing upon something else. Every single cause has an effect. There is no such thing as pure chance. All right. So I like this. It's talking about how could there be something acting in the phenomenal universe independent of the law's order and continuity of the latter. Such a something would be entirely independent of the orderly trend of the universe and therefore superior to it. So for something to act outside of the laws of cause and effect, it would have to be superior to the law, which means it have to be the mind of the all, which it is not. We can imagine nothing outside of the all being outside of the law, and that is because the all is the law. Each time a die falls, when you cast the dice and displays a certain number, it obeys a law as infallible as that which governs the revolution of the planets around the sun. It's like the tarot cards. Every single card that falls out with a very specific purpose in mind. There are no chance events. You did not hear those lyrics on the radio at that particular time that it made sense to you on that particular day, in that particular moment, at that particular second, were it not supposed to be that way. There is no such thing as chance. When you were late to work last week or the week before, whenever that was, it was supposed to be. It didn't just get that way by chance. When you make decisions that you make, they have effects on this chain of this interlinking and the way that things work. The one decision that you made sets off a cascade of other things that affect the lives and ripple out into the collective. I forget the name of that movie. Maybe it was Crash, but it talked about how these people who were living these apparently isolated lives were really interconnected in ways that they would have never been able to consciously really understand until their lives intersected. So every single thing that we do affects every single other thing that affects every single other thing. Literally, not a leaf falls from the tree without, we say, the permission of its creator, right? Depending upon what terms in which you think. So the position of the dice back, okay, behind the fall of the die are the causes or chains of causes, running back further than the mind can follow. The position of the dice or the die in the box, the amount of muscular energy expanded in the throat, the condition of the table. All of these are causes, all right, the effect of which may be seen, but the back of these seen causes are the changes of unseen preceding causes, all of which had a bearing upon the number of the die which fell uppermost. Amazing. All right. Some confusion has arisen in the minds of people considering this principle from the fact that they're unable to explain how one thing could cause another thing. As a matter of fact, no thing causes literally another thing. An event is that which comes or arrives as a result or consequence of a preceding event. So this is what he's really saying. No event creates another event, literally, technically, even though this is the principle that we're talking about. He's going to the higher level, but is merely a preceding link in the great orderly chain of events from the creative energy of the all. There is a continuity between all events, consequent and subsequent. There is a relation existing between everything that has gone before and everything that follows. This makes me think of, first thing that came to my mind that I wrote down in here was doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. All causes create events, and the same causes typically, just by the law of average, are going to create the same outcomes, the same events, the same results. So to keep doing something the same way all the time and expecting a different result, what is that popular saying? Is the definition of insanity. All right. Just as a man has 2 parents and 4 grandparents and 8 great-grandparents and 16 great-great-grandparents and so on until, say, 40 generations are calculated at the number of ancestors run into the many millions. So it is with the number of causes behind even the most trifling event or phenomena, such as the passage of a tiny speck of soot or soot before your eye. Like that when I burn this candle. Oh, my goodness, my goodness. Amazing, amazing. So these are some really, really interesting facts, all right? Another point that I made sure I highlighted here, every thought we think, every act we perform has its direct and indirect result, which fit into the chain of cause and effect. We dismiss thoughts as nothing because they're not material, but your thoughts are energy. So every thought you have sends out a frequency and creates a chain of events. That is why you are able to manifest. Every single principle in this book helps you with the power of manifesting the life that you want for yourself. This is amazing. We do not wish to enter into a consideration of free will or determinism in this work for various reasons. It's kind of a shaky subject. The principle of polarity shows that both half truths. Remember, truth in and of itself is whole, and by degree, lies and what you perceive as the truth are one and the same. They're just differences in degrees, which is why he's saying they're half truth in and of itself. And in effect, there is not even anything such as truth per se. The principle of polarity shows that both are but half truths, the opposing poles of truth. The teachings are that a man may be both free and bound by necessity. And he gives a very concrete example, which I really like. The majority of people are more or less slaves of hereditary, environment, etc., and manifest very little freedom. They are swayed by opinions, customs, and thoughts of the outside world, and also by their emotions, feelings, and moods. They manifest no mastery worthy of the name. Ooh. They indignantly repudiate this assertion, saying, well, I certainly am free to act and do as I please. I do just what I want to do, but they fail to explain whence arise the want and the do as I please. What he's saying is, you're affected by your environment, your conditioning, the way you think, what you believe, but beyond that, you're affected by so many things externally that the things that you even think you want to do are based on things that you know are possible, which is based on things that you know that you've seen other people do or ways that you've been affected by the outward society. But as always, he talks about the ways to overcome some of these laws and use them to work in your favor. And that's where the alchemy comes in. The majority of people are carried along like the falling stone, obedient to environment, outside influences, and internal moods, desires, etc. Not to speak of the desires and wills of others stronger than themselves, heredity, environment, and suggestion. Suggestion is very powerful, carrying them along without resistance on their part or to the exercise of will. There's no reason to think about doing anything. There's no reason to resist. Let's just do what other people are doing. But the masters, knowing the rules of the game, rise above the plane of material life and placing themselves in touch with the higher powers of their nature, dominate their own moods, qualities, and polarity, as well as the environment surrounding them, and thus become movers in the game instead of pawns. Causes instead of effects. I say causers. So this last part I want to bring before we close. One great law, the law which is the all, it is true indeed that not a sparrow drops unnoticed by the mind of the all, that even the hairs on our head are numbered, as the scriptures have said. There is nothing outside of the law, and nothing happens contrary to the law. The Hermetic teachings are that man may use the law to overcome the laws, and that the higher will always prevail against the lower. That is 3 lines from the bottom of the last few lines of text on page 116. That is something worth underlining. The Hermetic teachings are that man may use the law to overcome laws, and that the higher will always prevail against the lower. That in and of itself is the summation of the book. The higher will always prevail against the lower. The higher in vibration, the higher in thought, the higher in frequency, the higher in action, the higher in intention, the higher in everything. I hope that this helped. I hope it helps to clarify the Kybalion. I hope that you are keeping up. Please comment in the comment section when you see this video. Let me know what you think and how this can apply to your life. Sending out much love to you on this beautiful, beautiful Friday, April the 24th. Let's catch that new moon energy.